When you did get a point, but you don't know. When you did get a go, what a move to the tea. When you did get a go, battle for a naya. When you did like get a go to your bacon. To yellow can it come down, come on. To yellow can it come down, when you did get a bit to come, they can When you When you need get a tank, Lare, in get a pol, come up, Pola, your tour. Ciao, can get a come where you go. Hey, this ain't get a come coming home. Hey, friend of me, one get a theory, my dog. Friend of me, get a come one, you, my yeah. Only
To our closing ceremony of Powate 2021. This is a call to everyone who is still standing outside in the lobby to come inside so that we start the function. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be upstanding for the national anthem. DJ, please play for us the national anthem. Thank you very much. Let's be seated, please. Members of Parliament present, the Chairman of the Uganda Tourism Board, UTB board members present, our development partners present, the President of the Uganda Tourism Association, leaders of the various tourism associations present, my fellow staff and management of UTB, our private sector players present, members of the media, sponsors of Powate 2021. Claire Mugabe is my name, and I'm the marketing manager of the Uganda Tourism Board, who is also doubling as the MC of the closing ceremony. It is indeed my pleasure and honor to welcome you today as we mark the end of the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo 2021. With over 2,050 participants, close to 400 meetings, with thousands of engagements. We are happy to say that we've had a very successful event. And at this point, I would want to invite Madam Allen to lead us in prayer to thank the Almighty God who has helped us to have such a beautiful event. Thank you. Can we stand up, please, for the prayer?
My name is Allen Ampeire, and I'm the Country Sales and Marketing Manager for Serena Hotels Uganda. Let's humble ourselves in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you, we praise you and glorify your name. We thank you for this moment that you've brought us together as the tourism fraternity. We thank you for UTB, for this Poete exhibition that has been a great success, and for this food that we are going to eat. Heavenly Father, may it nourish our bodies and souls. Amen.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's clap for her for that beautiful prayer. I'll start by registering apologies from my CEO, Ms. Lilia Jarova, who is not able to be with us here because she's currently indisposed. And I also want to register apologies from some of our board members who cannot make it. The Vice Chairman of the board, Ms. Susan Muhwezi, who is also not able to make it. We were also supposed to be joined by our State Minister, Honorable Chwanda, but he has also registered his apologies due to earlier commitments. Without further ado, please allow me to invite our Deputy CEO, Mr. Cheng Bradford, for his welcome remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mistress of Ceremonies. Our chief guest, the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, represented through our board chair, Honorable Daudi Migereko, members, Board of Directors, Uganda Tourism Board, representatives of our key partner institutions, industry captains, colleagues from the various MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies, the media, invited guests in your all respective capacities. Protocol observed. My name is Bradford Ocheng, the Deputy CEO of Uganda Tourism Board. I want to say you are most welcome to this Poate 2021. This is unprecedented Poate in the sense that it's coming at a time when we have COVID within our midst. We have had 5 editions of Poate that we held physically, locations, we put names to faces, shaking hands, but this Poate is very special in the way that it has been hosted virtually. This is a new phenomenon. We need to accept this, and probably it's going to define our space for doing business. We are very grateful that despite all the challenges that have been ushered in with COVID-19, Poate 2021, to the largest extent, has been very, very successful. Of course, as UTB and partners, we pride ourselves that we are, well, the first to host this virtually. We're testing the waters, and compared to similar expos that we've been attending, I thought, coming from an LDC, from a country like Uganda, we must say that we exceeded our expectation. Key highlights. In terms of what transpired in the last 3 days, I want to say that over 2,000 participants registered and participated in the Expo. 424 exhibitors. If you compare with 2020 figures, it was 182% increment. Hosted buyers. We had 425 hosted buyers. Again, compared to the last time we hosted Poate, this was a 750 increase. This is again phenomenal. Of course, this was done through a platform, and if we measure by the downloads that we had over 1,000 downloads. Again, this is another achievement that we saw. Messages and exchanges and all that, we had over 34,000 messages that were exchanged. 34,000. Well, again, I said names and faces. I must say again, there were over 5,700 photos that were exchanged between the various participants that attended Poate, with close to 300 meetings that were held. Members, I want to say that on a typical day, we had over 1,300 views on the platform. Again, this is something that we really want to say that we as UTB, we've been so grateful. Well, that said, I must say all these achievements came because of a strong team. Again, Claire, with your team, if you could stand up just for recognition, we had the National Organizing Committee, chaired by Peter Mwanje, and also UTB internal team. I think a lot of the members are receiving guests the other side. We are also very grateful to Talent Africa. Talent Africa was handling the event wholesale. TBWA, they handle our PR, public relations. I also want to say we're also very grateful to the provider of the app, the WOVA. I think, again, by any standard, I think this was a very good platform. Our guest of honor, at this point, as UTB, we don't work in isolation. We had a lot of sponsors from our partner institutions, and at this time, I want to say thank you so much to OWEC. OWEC, thank you so much for coming timely to help us. TravelLink, Sombia, Uganda Airlines, Fruitwave. These are some of our partners that worked with us through and through over the 3 days. I've just talked about the business conditions that have been ushered in by COVID. Well, it's quite challenging. Over the last 12 months or thereabout, the sector called tourism, by any standard, I think it was the worst hit in terms of disruptions, in terms of business. But as I talk now, I think we have a glimmer of hope that things are eventually coming back. Globally, definitely we know the vaccine is around, and as I talk now, there are over 1 billion doses of vaccine so far that have been administered in over 172 countries, including Uganda, of course. So we know that with this definition, it can only get better when we get the numbers. We also know that in terms of other macroeconomic parameters given by African Development Bank and the World Bank, I think the macro figures are pointing in a good direction in terms of recovery. The outlook is good, and in terms of growth, they expect between 4 and 4.5% growth in the year 2022. So I think let's have hope that things are coming back. We also have results from UNWTO. In terms of outlook, the projections are that, well, in terms of arrival, compared to what we had in 2020, I think we are almost at 66%. But moving forward, we think this can also change in terms of opening up of the travels. Of course, amidst all the disruption that we still see in some countries. That aside, as UTB, Honorable Minister, through our board chair, I want to say that besides POATE, there are big activities that the UTB is handling in partnership with stakeholders. We have the domestic campaigns that I am sure most of you have participated, could have seen the kind of messages that we've been rolling out. We are also trying to sensitize facility owners, that's accommodation facility owners, to allow them grade and classify these facilities. This is one way to bring confidence in the kind of services that we promote or provide. And in the long run, it's going to enhance our competitiveness. I also want to say that in terms of market representations, we have concluded procuring MDRs. These are market destination representatives in many of our core markets. In the UK and Ireland, we have an MDR. In China, we have an MDR. In the German-speaking countries of Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, we have an MDR. In China, the rest is China, we have an MDR. We have MDR in the Gulf states as well. We have an MDR in Gulf states. And with the support coming from the World Bank through CEDEP, that's the Competitive Enterprise Development Project, we are also going to have 4 more MDRs that are currently under procurement, typically on the African market, representing us in Nigeria, Ethiopia, South Africa, and Kenya. That's one cluster. We are also going to have MDR presentation in India. India, outside of UK, it's again one of our biggest sources of tourism. The last, before COVID, they were bringing close to 33,000 visitors. That's from India. So we think with any tweaking and intervention, it can only be better. We are also going to have MDR for the Benelux countries plus France. That is Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg plus France. So that will be taking that cluster. And then finally, we shall have one MDR for MICE. That is for meetings, incentives, conference, and exhibition, one MDR. So members, bear with us. I think we have a lot in store for the sector. And we promise that with the good leadership provided by the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, it can only be better. If there are any challenges that we need to escalate, UTB is around, the private sector institutions are with us. Let's have one voice so that together we can see the sector rebound, reboot, and also reconnected sooner than later. With the COVID guest of honor, I think we just need to be able to learn and relearn. I think that is really the mode now. It's not specific to any sector, should be cutting across. Finally, I want to again once more thank you, and I want to invite you in advance for Poate 2022. We promise it's going to even be a better Poate, and we look forward to your participation and support as always. I want to thank you and thank you for coming to identify with us, and we as UTB, we are ready to commit to work with you. Thank you so much.
Another round of applause for Mr. Cheng. With the insights shared by the Deputy CEO, we are clearly on the right path to recovery as a sector. Ladies and gentlemen, are you aware that the Poate platform is going to remain open for another 6 months? That means that everyone that is registered on that platform will continue to engage with those hosted buyers for another 6 months. So the success we registered today is just the beginning. We have another 6 months, and I encourage all of you to continue engaging. Some of you are not able to tune into the seminar sessions. We had a lot of insightful presentations made by our MDRs from the different markets. Please tune in and get some information of the different markets so that you identify where you're best fit to trade. If you're trading in the American market, get more information about China, get information about Japan, so that you assess your current positioning as a business and find the right market for you to trade. They say behind every successful man is a woman. But who is behind every successful event? Any wild guesses? It is the National Organizing Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the chair of the National Organizing Committee for Poate 2021, Mr. Peter Mwanja. That is joined by other members of the committee present. I request that Mr. Peter Mwanja is joined by other members of the committee present as he makes his remarks. Miss Jean, Marinka, all members of, don't be shy people, this was a success, please come.
Thank you, MC. Our Minister of State for Tourism, the Honorable Chiwanda, Chairman UTB, Honorable Dowdin Gereko, the President of UTA, Ms. Paul H. Kakoza, the CEO of UTB, Madam Milia Jarova, and the Deputy, Report Ocheng, our keynote speakers the world over. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to close this conference. I'd like to thank everyone for a successful Poate 2021. And to thank once again the UTB for inviting yet again the private sector to participate in the organization of this expo so as to help us reboot, reconnect, and recover our businesses and tourism in the Pearl of Africa. You have demonstrated that MICE has a place in the future of tourism in this country. UTB, you have spoiled us with your generous hospitality and impeccable organization. To fully sponsor Poate 2021 at no cost for the exhibitors at a time when the private sector is struggling to recover from negative effects of COVID-19 is not something we take for granted. I am tempted, Mr. Bradford, to ask that you do the same for us next year at Poate 2022. I am most grateful to all the speakers over the past 3 days. These, I'll mention some of them. Tess Pros, President of SITE Africa Chapter. Tess, through SITE, has offered free entry membership into SITE for the Uganda maize companies. This is the best organization for anyone who may want to join the maize space in this country. We have free membership for anyone who would want to join. I'll be available to advise on how for whichever country wants. We had the Honorary Consul and Representative of Uganda in Bavaria, Mr. Wolfgang. We also had Chris Meyers, the CEO of the Africa Travel and Tourism Association. We had Judy Kefa, Director and Lead Consultant, Sustainable Travel and Tourism Agenda. We hosted Evin Ndlovu, Community Development Specialist. We had Jost Newman, Head of Economic Development, TUI Care. Michael Simmons, Social Trinity. Omu Obliro, Luxury Events Planner from Nigeria. We had Thomas Dreschler, Jürgen Slazler, and the various Avia Reps comrades who are now responsible for marketing Destination Uganda in UK, Ireland, Gulf states, China, Japan, Austria. That was a really great team up. We also had Alan Senyondwa from PSFU. And of course, the Uganda experts. We had Lily, our CEO. We had Amos Wekesa from Great Lakes. Amos offered to speak to us on his birthday, when he should have been with family. We had a pleasure to be with Dennis Ntege, Raft Uganda, JP Bittencourt of Sheraton, Barbara Dosso from MICE Uganda, Peter Kagwa from Iwaki and Events Warehouse, Alan Ampire from Serena, Claire Mugabe from the UTB, and I'd also like to thank the chairs and moderators of all the workshops, including Talent Africa. Just as importantly, I'd like to thank the participants, the exhibitors, hosted buyers, and attendees at large for their remarks and interventions which have made this conference such a success. As private sector, we had the opportunity before the Expo to hold conclusive and positive preparatory and brainstorming meetings, and we will continue consulting and engaging as long as this working arrangement continues to unfold. This is a very welcome development, and we will support you as UTB. Our time here together at Poate is a very precious moment, very precious on our annual calendar, and we must therefore get the most out of our Poate Expos. We have to start on schedule. We have to focus on the most important priorities. Let's work together to do even better next time. We want to be the best in the region. As we go forward, I would encourage closer collaboration with Uganda's private sector. This should be on the key initiatives in the industry. The business community is always eager to get involved, and more importantly, they are critical partners in creating opportunities and building the prosperity our country's tourism and investment opportunities and needs. Let me quickly recap some of the key messages that we've had over the past 3 days. First, it is important that we don't forget the lessons of the past. There are no shortages of pandemics like COVID-19 on the horizon, and there'll always be challenges. Uganda, on the global front, has done very well in managing the spread and impact of COVID. But that is an isolated plus. We need a harmonized response to pandemics and safety as a region. We need a harmonized response to these pandemics. I'm talking Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, so that we can all enjoy regional visitors. For example, Uganda did well, but the neighbors, Kenya and Tanzania, are having a new wave, and therefore they are closed, or at least many parts of their countries. The effect has been that tourists who plan to visit the region in May and June as a circuit are canceling trips. They're canceling all their visits into Uganda because the Kenya and Tanzania sections of their trips cannot happen. Our businesses will continue to close because of unharmonized responses. What if the regional governments designed a response that is collective in collaboration? Second, that virtual and hybrid meetings are with us and will continue for a long while. We now know that it is possible to close business deals without meeting physically, even though travel has always been a part of us. Uganda Airlines. We have learned that our birds will soon take direct flights into Heathrow. I think that should be about June 2021. That will improve our conversion rates, but we implore you to develop domestic routes into our countryside so that the cost of doing business can be reduced. What use is a national carrier if it does not improve and simplify our businesses domestically? Technology. We learned that we have to harness new innovations in technology as it will make businesses compliant with the modern post-COVID age. Social media and Zoom may soon take over the communication space, which is key to tourism. The issue of skills development needs to be addressed so that as our businesses recover and reboot from COVID, our business and leisure guests will find the Pearl of Africa still a dream destination and with first-class service. We cannot emphasize more the importance of association memberships. Incentive and corporate sectors will be key in reigniting recovery for MICE and leisure tourism. We need African solutions for domestic problems. Domestic tourism has, after all, kept some businesses alive, especially those that were able to adapt to change very fast. Powati 2021 has given us a platform to engage with hosted buyers and to make collaborations. It does not stop at the first meeting. We need to continuously engage as many times until the deals come through. Implementation and belonging will seal these partnerships. Finally, an issue that deserves more of our attention is revisiting the true value of Destination Uganda's legacy as a lasting impact. Branding Uganda needs to take the lead in partnership with like-minded private sector players, government, and global organizations in the tourism agenda on our country, because it affects all of us directly. Showcasing the true legacy of our destination, including the vast Lake Victoria, culture, food, and national parks, will allow us to get the most out of our country's assets. It will allow us to contribute to better management of our agriculture and tourism sectors, and to allow us to support efforts to mitigate employment and livelihood challenges that have been occasioned to us by COVID-19. The success of Powati 2021 indicates that this annual event continues to sail smoothly. During the Expo, the most frequently used words were reboot, reconnect, and recover. As the meeting is drawing to an end, we can say without exaggeration that it is a meeting of great reconnection and rebooting. And so is the sincere hope that Uganda tourism sector, which was most hit by the pandemic, will bounce back stronger and better. We can now start planning for Poati 2022 in high spirits. I want to thank the committee that worked with me to deliver such a great event. I wish that you could give them a hand clap. And finally, I wish you all a safe journey home, and I look forward. Oh. Thank you. I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mebo Nawitosi from Uganda Wildlife Authority.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm called Naria Brenda from Uganda Hotel Owners Association.
Hello, Jean Biamgisha, CEO, Uganda Hotel Owners Association.
Ajena Jaffa, Digital Marketing Officer, Uganda Tourism Board.
UTB, Claire and Wilfred, if I must say, you've got a great asset in the young man. He delivered very well on all the IT platform challenges that we had. If you lose him, we shall take him to the private sector. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a safe journey home. And I look forward to the success of the next Poati 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mwanja, for those remarks, and thank you, the rest of the team that worked with him as members of the organizing committee, and we look forward to working with you come 2022. As you're aware, ladies and gentlemen, our sector is government-led, but our key driver is the private sector. Without the private sector, we wouldn't exist. Tourism wouldn't exist. Without the private sector, we wouldn't have Poati. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present to you the President of the Uganda Tourism Association, Ms. Pearl Kakoza, for her remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, the guest of honor, members of parliament present this evening, all tourism professionals, and all protocol observed. My name is Pearl Waru Kakoza, and I am the president of the Uganda Tourism Association. UTA. UTA is the umbrella body of all private sector players in the tourism sector. The current association members include the Association of Uganda Tour Operators. Do you mind if you stand up, please? A member of OTO. I see the chairperson is here. Yeah. Thank you. Uganda Safari Guides Association. Any representative from Usaga? Uganda Hotel Owners Association. Jean and your team. The Uganda Association of Travel Agents. Uganda Community Tourism Association. The Association of Ugandan Women in Tourism Trade. the National Arts and Cultural Crafts Association, Mwamenyanzi, and the Hotel General Managers Association of Uganda. These associations combined represent tour operators, travel agents, accommodation facilities, tour guides, community-based organizations, arts and crafts. And as you will see, it encompasses the whole width and breadth of the tourism sector in Uganda. Combined, we represent over 4,000 individual enterprises in Uganda, employing mostly women and the youth. UTA wishes to thank Uganda Tourism Board for organizing and delivering the first virtual expo in East Africa. Our neighbors, Kenya, whom we like to always ape, I'm sure can learn something new from us this time. Thank you very much, Mr. Mwanje, who spoke a lot about this private sector in his capacity as the chairperson of the organizing committee. I wish to remind this gathering that on the 4th of August, 2020, we were gathered in this very room, a meeting called by Uganda Tourism Association. We gathered all the industry players so that we could lobby for the reopening of Entebbe International Airport. And we were successful. Our airport was opened on the 1st of November, 2020. UTA wishes to inform our online audience that Uganda, since the 1st of November, 2020, has been open for tourism. Upon arrival at Entebbe International Airport, there is no quarantine. At arrival upon Entebbe International Airport, we do not have quarantine. COVID-19 tests, negative tests are required by all airlines that fly into Uganda. And as you heard, Uganda Airlines will soon be flying directly into London Heathrow, or LHR, as is the code for London Heathrow. Our online tourists or potential tourists should look to a totally different destination other than they are used to and take a leap of faith and come and visit Uganda, the pearl of Africa, as Sir Winston Churchill once described Uganda. We thank our market destination representatives representing source markets for the representation and insight into their individual markets to help us in Uganda make our destination more appealing to their travelers. We wish to thank the panelists for their interesting and knowledgeable engagements. And if I may add on what Mr. Mwanje said, we should also explore, as well as our marketing, what we want to really market Uganda as, we should explore and find our unique selling point. Could it be culture and heritage? The source of the mighty River Nile? Murchison and Uhuru Falls? The mountain gorillas? Religious and faith-based tourism? Agro-tourism? Pineapple tourism? Uganda, it's a fact, has got the best pineapple in the world. Coffee tourism, for those of you who do not know, Robusta coffee was first found in Uganda and then propagated to Brazil and other parts of the world. All this is found in one country, in the heart of Africa, Uganda. We need to identify our USP to enable us gain that extra leverage when we market Uganda at such a forum. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who were watching, tonight's theme, we were told to dress cultural. That was the theme tonight. Can I ask Claire to please join me on the podium? Those of you, my online audience, you must have seen this place. They had 3 people over here. Claire was in the middle in her capacity as marketing manager of Uganda Tourism Board. This morning she was wearing something similar to this, but a bit different. This is what we call a gomesi. You know, it's very lovely. Notice the puff sleeves, the square neckline, and the 2 buttons. A typical gomesi is actually made of 6 meters of material. So Claire is wearing 6 meters of material and something else underneath, which she has tied, which they call a kikoi. And most important, this sash over here, which is borrowed from the kimono, the Japanese kimono, which some of you may not know. This one is what dresses up the outfit, and they call it chitambala. This one here is generally the national costume of the women of Uganda. My online audience, come and have a look for yourself and purchase a gomesi for yourself. This gomesi is a very old design. It was designed in 1905 by a Goan Asian by the name of Gomez. And of course, being good Ugandans, we couldn't pronounce that name. So it was bastardized to Gomesi. Gomesi. It was actually commissioned and first worn as a school uniform at Gayaza High School. I know some of you went to Gayaza High School. This is fact, historical. For the men's kanzu, I will ask someone else to elaborate on it, but I have done my bit for the women's gomesi. Thank you, Claire. UTA, once again, wishes to thank UTB for involving the private sector as part of the organizing committee of Pawate. Thank you once again for delivering a very good Pawate 2021. 250,000 participants. The platform is open for the next 6 months. We have shown that we can reconnect, reboot, and let us allow tourism to recover. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening. I say this for God and my country.
Another round of applause for the boss lady. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point we are going to break for an entertainment musical break. But before that, if we have any exhibitor in the audience, would want to hear from you what your experience has been. We have some who said they are afraid of URA. URA is not here. You can declare your deals that you've closed at Pawate. You're safe. Do you have any exhibitors that would want to share with us the experience? If not at this point, I would welcome Crane performers for their performance.
Yeah.
zesato wenye korole kandeso ni kondale ensuku zafe mbili zesato wenye korole kandeso ni kondale pulira makunje makunje ngoba pulira makunje ngana makunje ngasini wawo ndiko pulira makunje makunje ngoba pulira makunje ngoba ngasini wawo ndiko.
Thank you, Crane performers. Ladies and gentlemen, before we hear from our guest of honor, our chairman of the board, we have two exhibitors that would want to share their testimonies with us about their participation in Poverty 2021. Allow me to welcome the first exhibitor from the Uganda Heritage. Please come and share your experience from Poverty 2021.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Albert Kasozi. I am the Marketing and Product Development Manager at the Uganda Heritage Tourism Board. First of all, I want to thank Uganda Tourism Board for the opportunity of inviting us as exhibitors at the first virtual Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. I must say it was not easy for us to participate in our first virtual expo. Working with technology was not easy. But again, I want to thank the organizing team. They were always on a call away. When you get a challenge, you just call Jaffa and immediately it is sorted, making meetings, booking with hosted buyers. He was able to help us to maneuver through all those processes. And I can confidently say that I was able to book more than 50 meetings within these 3 days. And I was very, very happy to hear that we have 6 more months to make these meetings, because today is the last day and I had not even finished 20 meetings. So when I heard that we still have more time to engage and to talk with the community online, I was very happy about this. And I just want to thank UTB for making this happen, because it was an opportunity for us as Buganda to showcase our sites and reach out to the whole world. So thank you very much. And I can see that tourism is going the right way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Albert, for sharing your experience at Poverty 2021. Let us now hear from Mr. Ntege Dennis. People clap for Dennis. What has changed his life already?
Thank you, Claire. My name is Dennis Ntege. I do whitewater rafting. That's what I do for a living with Raft Uganda. I would want to say thank you so much, Uganda Tourism Board. As a tour operator, a member of Otto, this virtual tourism expo really breathed some life in a sort of industry we were all, pretty worried about. But the positives that I take out of Poverty 2021 were actually the discussions that were happening today. And I'm not so sure if so many people did, people in this room actually did pay a lot of attention. But there is a session at 10 o'clock that had government policies and incentives to reboot tourism. moderated by Mr. Liaz, Director Liaz. A lot of promises have been made to us, and we are actually very, very excited. Now we are waiting for Mr. Liazi and the team that was there to actually now score those goals, because you really, really assembled a fantastic football team that we listen to at 10 o'clock. And a lot of things have been promised, and we are actually going to put you under pressure to actually deliver. At the session that happened at 10:30 about the emerging trends in the emerging trends and opportunities in the tourism sector, I think for the part of our operators that actually venture out in looking for business in some of these source markets, I am very sure all the guys I've spoken to have told me this has actually reshaped the way they thought about, the traditional way they thought about these markets. So they have gotten to learn new things, and I think it's also one of those other aspects that we'll ask our board chair and UTB to put the MDRs to task to deliver, because they have identified the emerging trends. We as operators will package around these trends and we'll ask them to actually go to these markets and drive traffic. So we will be back here again, all back to UTB in 6 months or 3 months or a year to ask where are these promised numbers. All we've done this as we were told, where are the results? And to my brother from PSFU, in his session about enabling incentives and policies by PSFU, I actually remember Mr. Allen's words. This is Mr. Allen Senyondwa. Maybe he may stand up for all you two operators here who are hard up on liquidation. PSFU has some programs that they have set out. Most of them actually were discussed at this virtual expo. Part of those programs we've been told are going to actually drive traffic in less than 6 months. So when the projects start, PSFU, thank you so much, but we shall be at your doorsteps to make sure that all these promised interventions can actually convert into numbers and solve our 3 main challenges as have been identified, which was the numbers of employees that we had to lay off. We want to bring them back. You promised that one of the biggest challenges we had was liquidation, as was said. You have promised to address that. The issue of the most vulnerable alongside the tourism chain, the communities. The one who presented the community agenda yesterday at the discussion actually gave us a lot of breath for the future. So I would really, really want to say thank you so much, UTB, the National Organizing Committee, for the topics that you chose. As we look out for business, we are also looking out for knowledge and opportunities. So on the aspect of business, some people may not have gotten so much business, but they've gotten knowledge, they've gotten the reassurance that yes, the government, UTB, and our private sector is there to help us reboot our sector. So thank you so much. PSFU and Mr. Liazi, the private sector is going to be your guest starting tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. And we are glad to hear that the discussions we had at Poate 2021 will go a long way toward restoring and reviving stakeholder confidence in our wonderful sector. At this juncture, I would want to welcome our Deputy CEO, Mr. Cheng, who will do us the honors of inviting our guest of honor to make his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mistress of Ceremonies. The guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, represented by our board chair, Honorable Daudi Gereko. It's now my singular honor to invite you to come and talk to your guests. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Ndugu Bradford. Honorable members of parliament who have decided to grace this very important function in our business calendar, Powate. Members of the board of UTB, the chairperson, Uganda Tourism Association, plus the leadership of all the associations in the industry, the ministry representatives, the host buyers, exhibitors, and the participants in Powate, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. I happen to stand here, standing in for the Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. Our brother, Honorable Butime is not with us. He has some other engagements and he couldn't be with us. Honorable Chiwanda was supposed to be standing in for him, but we lost our colleague, Honorable Kasamba, and Honorable Kiwanda is chairing the send-off arrangements as vice chair for NRM in Uganda. So we can't have Honorable Chiwanda here with us. I was therefore requested to stand in for the Honorable Minister, and I can tell you they send you warm regards. They would have loved, they would have liked to be part of this innovation. It's something new, Powate virtual. We had never heard of this thing, and anybody in charge of a ministry would have wanted to associate very closely with these technological developments which are putting us in close contact with the entire world without being physically there. Kindly accept their apologies. Similarly, my vice chair, Madame Susan, who is also the chair of the Hotel Owners Association, she lost someone in Fort Potro. She can't be with us today. And even the CEO, Madame Lilia Jerova, she had an accident on Sunday and therefore cannot be here. So we are all acting, myself and Bradford are in acting positions. Acting minister, the only good thing is that I've ever been a minister of tourism before, so. Yes. But I want to say we are really delighted as Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, together with the Uganda Tourism Board, that you people who are gathered here have made Powate 2021 the success that we are talking about. Thank you very much. Mr. Mwanja and your team, you did a commendable job. You did a commendable job. What was interesting is the choice of the members of the committee. It seems there is an age limit. It seems there is an age limit because I could only see if you are not young, you could not qualify to be a member of the organizing committee. But I can tell you, we can now see you are ready to take over the industry. If you can organize such a wonderful thing, despite age, and age doesn't seem to be a factor in these things. Thank you very much. And to Sheraton, we thank you for availing us space, because most of the activities have been here at Sheraton. The arrangements were good. One of the challenges we are now faced with is the yearning for internet capacity. The demand for internet services has really gone up. Now, we need to do something about this. Fortunately, Sheraton doesn't seem to have a problem with internet. So we commend you for the arrangements you have made to step up your internet capacity, making it possible for the whole of Uganda tourism industry to connect with the entire world. Thank you very much. Ndugu Liazi is a member of our board, but he's also representing the ministry. Kindly stand up. Because people may say the ministry is not here. He's heading tourism in the ministry, and we don't want to fail to mention that you are here. Thank you very much. Many of my colleagues from the board, kindly stand up. You can see we are very well represented. Some of our colleagues are not here. It's because we are encouraging them to follow everything on the internet. I think that's why they are not here. Otherwise, they would have loved to be here. Thank you very much, Ndugu Chiria and Ndugu Kagwa. First of all, and I'm going to read this speech because it was given to me as a speech, and you don't want to run into problems. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Ugandan tourism industry, UTB, the private sector, and the National Organizing Committee for daring to host this Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo 2021, the first ever virtual expo that we have had. Despite a few fears and misgivings, we were able to go ahead with the blessing of the ministry and government and some key stakeholders from the private sector. I'm glad that these efforts have paid off. It has been a great learning experience. There could have been failings, and we request that you kindly bear with us for those failings. You know, anything that happens and doesn't work out well, if you are the ministry in charge, you take responsibility. So we are saying if there is anything that has not worked out well, we take the blame, but we shall make sure we put everything right. And as Mr. Mwanja has said, we are starting to prepare for Powate 2022. Things will be much better than they have been this time round. I would also like to congratulate our key stakeholders from the private sector who have braved the past year and have come this far. It is your confidence, resilience, and optimism that UTB and government are building on to restart and reboot the sector. These words, restart, reconnect, reboot, it's new vocabulary. we shall get used to it. It is through your resolve to wake up each day and keep pushing hard that the industry is beginning to pick up the pieces of we have been told by the acting CEO of UTB. The yearning of everybody, government and the private sector, is that we should soon start seeing some positive returns so that we can have something to assure those who put money in the sector that their investment is not up for a loss. It is in a special way, I would like to thank the 424 exhibitors. I think this number is higher than that of last year. 424 exhibitors who took the courage and faith to participate in this first ever digital Powate. The wonderful results so far registered from this Powate is clear testimony that if we can maintain this momentum, we can accelerate our recovery in the industry. The road to recovery will be full of many unknowns, and it is my prayer and hope that we as government and the private sector keep supporting each other so that we can be in a position to ultimately get to where we want to go. On our part, as UTB, we commit to consistently invest in our own domestic expos as well as in attending foreign expos, because consistency is the name of the game. And many of you here are aware of the Turambure initiative. You are also aware of the Tech on the Power initiative which has been going on. I know you had gotten used to the Cavasius initiative, but even without that one, these other initiatives are also working. Yes, we will fail here and there, but we will get there. Even successful tourism expos like the IT Berlin has perfected their game through consistency since the first event that took place in 1966. So what we are doing, if there are any failings, should not scare you at all. We have given a commitment that Powate 2022 will be much better Powate. And we are going to deliberately work and focus so that the improvements that we need can be realized at the end of the day. As the UTB CEO has indicated, the sector is indeed beginning to recover, albeit slowly and at the tail end of other sectors. You remember, or you may recall, that the many speeches that have been made at the high level have indicated that due to COVID-19, it may take time for tourism to pick up. Now you, the private sector and members of the industry, are saying that you are not going to wait for anyone, you are going to take on this one yourselves. I can tell you the decision you have taken is the best, and that is what is going to give us results. I would like to thank His Excellency the President for the guidance and instructive guidance that he has given ever since we got the COVID pandemic outbreak in our country and all over the world. He took it upon himself together with the Minister of Health to give guidance and to give instructions. In the initial stages, we thought the industry was going to be hurt and badly hurt. But we've been getting reviews of what is happening in different parts of the world, in the different countries in the world. And the entire world is commending His Excellency President Museveni on the instructions that he gave that have helped to minimize infection, but also to ensure that even those who are infected, when they go out for treatment in hospitals, they come out alive and can be in a position to continue doing their business. I want to thank the industry for the patience, but also taking to heart the guidance that His Excellency the President did give. Just like it happened in the case of Uganda's success in handling HIV/AIDS, Uganda's leadership and success have been noted globally. Indeed, tourist numbers will ultimately pick up as the industry continues to grow and as people continue being very sensitive about health issues and personal safety. Uganda will be the destination of first choice because whoever comes to Uganda will know that his health will be taken care of. So I think these are initiatives that we need to take advantage of and be in a position to get more people to come to Uganda because health is first, personal safety is first, and the tourism industry continues growing. Specifically for tourism, the President has also been at the forefront of attracting and giving audience to the many high-profile visitors, many of you who take off time to listen to the news and read the newspapers. I'm sure you are now familiar that His Excellency the President has been receiving many visitors who take a lot of interest in our tourism. We need to build on this. We need to take advantage of this and grow the industry, but also grow our own businesses. Madam Chairperson of President of, I don't know, is it Chairperson? President of UTA. I think this is a message that resonates very well with what you are trying to do. We are aware of the many competing interests that these visitors have. But the President has been always very kind to us and mainstreamed tourism whenever he's talking to these visitors. This is something we cannot take for granted. Speaking at last year's Powate, those of you who attended, the President of Uganda Tours Association, Madame Paul, raised issues to do with accessibility to credit, albeit at affordable terms. This matter has been taken up with the relevant government offices. This is the message I have here. I hope one of these days we should be in a position to get some positive response. Similarly, there has been the issue which the industry has been raising with time. When COVID-19 pandemic broke out, the industry did approach government raising the issue of servicing of loans because the tourism industry had practically gone down to its knees and there was no business. But the industry was also aware that despite the lockdown which had been officially announced, banks continued computing interest. The response of the banks was that those who had taken up loans should restructure those loans. But the issue of what to do about paying interest at a time when you are earning nothing was never resolved. This matter is still being pursued by our mother ministry, by UTB, and the leaders in the sector, because we really have to find a solution to this problem. You are being told you must pay off the interest which has been compounded, which has accumulated over time. But you've been having no work for about a year. So where will the proceeds come from for you to pay the interest which has accumulated over time? We are now scared that if this matter is not resolved fast enough, we may be faced with an avalanche of foreclosures. And this will bring down the industry, and yet many of us had started becoming very proud of the tourism industry, particularly the investments of the indigenous people, because many indigenous people had over time invested in tourism. So this is a matter, Madam Pearl, that we are going to continue to press so that Ministry of Finance and government can be in a position to come up with a clear way forward in regard to mitigating some of the effects of COVID-19 by addressing the issue of accumulated and compounded interest that our members would have to deal with. As I conclude, I also would like to comment on the issue that Mr. Peter Mwanja has raised concerning harmonizing the agenda of the industry within the East African region. I think this is a very critical matter, and I will take it upon myself to report to the ministers, to the permanent secretary and ministers, so that when they are engaging counterparts in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Rwanda and Burundi, this is a matter that can be dealt with so that we can be in a position to move in a harmonized way. It is true, many of you right now are running operations not only in Uganda, but also in the neighboring countries. So it is extremely critical that this matter is addressed, and addressed in good time, if your businesses are going to continue surviving and doing well. As I conclude, I do not doubt that UTB is on the right course of action with our poverty, particularly involving the partnership with the private sector. We used to get a lot of complaints that UTB is not working closely with the private sector. But from what I see here, I think this is a problem that is being solved, and I hope it will be solved in a very sustainable way so that the partnership can continue to grow and the concerns of the private sector can be addressed. To the private sector players who are still standing on the fence, I would like to re-echo the words of Mr. Amos Wekesa, one of our private sector players. He had a newspaper article a few days ago, and in the article, he was saying, "We are not going to reinvent the wheel. Expos are one great way of selling our potential, probably at the lowest cost per deal closed, and markets that succeeded before us like United Kingdom, Germany, and South Africa have largely taken advantage of their expos, namely IT Berlin, WTM London, and the Indaba. As the private sector, we must participate fully and consistently, because for those countries that have succeeded at tourism and hosting expos like Germany, UK, South Africa, etc., it is because their private sector plays a very key role in making sure the expos work. Because at the end of the day, the government creates the opportunity, and it should be us, the private sector, to showcase what we have to sell. And I think that is a message that we should all take very seriously. I must, however, add that maybe some members of the private sector did not deliberately keep away, but they needed an induction. I'm one of those who fumbled a lot at the beginning. So I said, now, if chairman of UTBI can fumble, how about others? I hope I was not the only one having a problem, but when the young man, Jaffa, came in, he helped me, And I think my name has been, I think I was able to demonstrate that I was active. But it took a bit of time. I know there are those who may not have been patient, and I want to ask Madame Claire so that you can organize some induction. And kind of don't feel shy. This is new technology. There is no way that those of us who went to school a long time ago could have known how to go about some of these things. But capacity to reinvent oneself, retool oneself, renders you relevant. If you are not ready to reinvent yourself, retool yourself, you'll be forgotten and you lose out on everything. So I hope with that appeal, we shall all stand to benefit in the remaining months that are coming so that we can be in a position to partake of some of the initiatives that the NRM government has provided and has invested in very heavily. With those few remarks, I want to wish you all the best. And also to request, I always have a problem with the way we organize some of these functions. You are given a seat and you feel shy to move and talk to those whom you've not been meeting for a long time. I want to request you to be at liberty to move around so that you can be able to compare notes, tap into new business, and that way your evening will have provided very good returns to you, and you'll be in a position to go back home and account for your time away from home at this time. I thank you. I thank you very much for turning up this evening.
Another hand clap for the chairman of the UTB board. Thank you, Honorable Daudi Migereko, for those insightful remarks. With this, we are coming to the end of phase 1 of our closing ceremony and slowly getting into phase 2, which is now culinary tourism experience. The bit about our sector is that it's like MTN. It's everywhere you go. So now you're going to get a taste of one of our products, which is culinary tourism. And at this point, ladies, I would want to say that dinner has been served. You're going to be ushered in by our host, the Sheraton Hotel, on a table-by-table basis. So please, they'll be coming to your table when it's your turn to pick your dinner. But just like the guest of honor has said, we can continue to engage, especially with the private sector. I am sure you'd want to get a word with Director Aliazi about the promises he made this morning. So this would be a good time to bombard his table as we wait to be ushered in for the dinner. In the interim, we will have another performance from the crane performers as we wait for our turn to get served. Thank you.
tira bojoya. Tira bojoya. Kaleire munywanyi wago mawe. Kaleire munywanyi wago mawe. Mataga.